Okay, thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Amy Sislak. I am the principal of Tinker Verde High School. I decided to try to jump in at home today to make sure my 2-year-old Labrador didn't have a meltdown with the storm. So apologize for my very boring room that I'm coming to you live from, but we're so excited to have you. I thought it was really important to check in and really chat with you all about what on earth to expect with high school. We know that there's a lot of time and care and attention that sometimes goes into your children when they're entering kindergarten and some of those other really pivotal transitions. But high school is a really, really big deal. And if you're feeling like this is a big deal and we're unsure, that's okay. That's normal. This is a huge transition. And we really want to give you a whole bunch of information today so that you feel like you can have a really great year. And we really want you to know that we're here for you and this is going to be a great time. There's several of our Tinker Verde High School employees and staff on this call. And so there's going to be periods of time where I'm going to ask you guys to jump in and say hi. We are just thrilled to have you all. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and start with our presentation here. All right, are we seeing this yet? Are we seeing our main screen? I'm going to ask Joel to yell at me if this is working. You guys, anybody can chime in? Is anyone seeing our main screen of welcome?
Yes, we see it. It's good. We see it.
Perfect. Let's see. I might need to unmute you, Joel. Let's see. Okay. Here we go. So we're going to go over this and then I'm going to stop at the end and let you guys chime in. If you guys have questions along the way, go ahead and drop those in the chat. I'm only using one screen tonight, so I won't be able to see them both at the same time, but we'll get all through all of those. So I want to kick off and introduce you to your admin team. So I am your principal. This is my 3rd year at Tinker Verde High School. This is my 11th year as a school principal. I was the assistant and principal at University High School for over 8 years before coming to Tinker Verde. I live in the Tinker Verde neighborhood, and I have to tell you, I loved my school. I loved working at University, and I knew in my heart of hearts there was only one place that I would leave that school for, and that was Tinker Verde. There was something about being able to drive past this school every day, seeing what was going on, and thinking about all the amazing things that the school was and could be. And when the opportunity popped up, I was just thrilled and excited to be here. And it's personal for me. I love that my neighbors go to my school. I love that when I walk my dog, that my neighbors ask me about what's going on at school. It's a really big deal for me, and I'm very, very honored to be in the community and to be the principal. I have 2 outstanding assistant principals. Mr. Joel Basalia is on the call today. He is our assistant principal of curriculum instruction. Joel was with me for a very long time at university, and I was just really thrilled and honored that when I came over here that he took me up on the opportunity to come join me. Joel is a curriculum guru. He knows about what it takes to do really well in high school. He knows what it takes to get into the best colleges and universities in the country and, quite frankly, the world. And we've really had a great time collaborating and enhancing an already great school and adding some great programs. We also have Mr. Gary Lewis, who joins us. Mr. Lewis focuses primarily on student athletics and activities as a former college and professional athlete, as well as a coach. Again, he's an expert. He's a guru in the community of really what it takes to run an outstanding athletic department. And he's had a lot of really great involvement in developing student leadership and activities on campus. Also in the call today, I know our counselors are in here. We are thrilled. Historically, Tinker Verde High School's had 2 counselors. If you want to have a really, really strong college and career program where 100% of your students graduate knowing what they want to do when they graduate from high school, getting into amazing colleges and universities, as well as getting the money to pay for said colleges and universities, connecting with outstanding employers. It's really, really important that you have a strong counseling team. I'm a huge advocate for counselors. It's really, really important. And I'm so thrilled that we were able to add a third to our team this year. So we have, and all three are new to their role, which to lots of people sounds unreal, but this is an incredible team. And I am so thankful and honored of all my years of working with counselors. This could quite possibly be the best team I've worked with already. So we have Miss Peyton Gubser, who just joined us from Colorado Springs. She'll be working with students with last name Alpha A through L. Miss Amy Freganese will be working with students last name Alpha M through Z. And then also Mr. Adam Shingler, who's working with our college and career. He will be enhancing and working with our other two counselors. They really are working as a team. He's developing some really outstanding partnerships for internships, more colleges and universities visiting us, more trade schools visiting us, opportunities to visit colleges, careers, and trade schools, learn about different majors. It's going to be pretty wild this year. I am really, really excited and thrilled about the work that they've already done and what's coming forward. So here's some contacts for you that you're going to start seeing emails, and high school's big. We have 60 plus employees and we have lots of people. If you forget who to contact, that is totally okay. Email the person that you remember their email or the last person you emailed, and we'll direct you. Right now, we'll talk a little bit about construction. We are libraryless right now while we build a brand new library in our student union. We have an incredible librarian who's been the homeless librarian, doing amazing things for our students the past 2 years. It's incredible. A lot of people think libraries are just about books and someone telling people to shh and be quiet, and that's not what a 21st century librarian is doing. They're really working on research skills, how to connect students with the community and reach their goals, and we are pretty lucky to have Mrs. Paige Riffle. She also is going to be the point person for checking out laptops or calculators. If you are purchasing a TI-84 calculator, it's just not in the cards this year, and you want to check one out, she's the person to go to. She's also the person to go to check out Chromebooks. I'll send out, that's in that notification on Friday afternoons that I send at 5 p.m. About how to check out a Chromebook. And then she's also someone you can contact for a calculator. If you want to bring your own laptop, your student can bring their own laptop to school. It doesn't have to be a Chromebook, whatever laptop they would like. It is an expectation that teachers should be able to tell students that you need your laptops today, so they'll communicate with your students, but they should plan on pretty much having their laptop every single day unless they're told otherwise. If their battery's dead, there's something wrong with it, even if we can check one out to them for the day as well. We have an incredible nurse, Ms. Carla Wolford, who is a registered nurse. She has a big, beautiful new office, so she'll be back on campus next week. She'll be your point person for checking in medications if there's an emergency. She's really, truly wonderful. We have a new attendance and registrar who will also be handling transcript requests, enrollment, and you'll probably chat with her more on a day-to-day basis with attendance, and that's Ms. Jamie Farimo. We have an attendance only email that our entire office can check. So that way, if Jamie's away from her desk, or gosh forbid she takes a vacation, the rest of the staff can help out. But she is that point person. And then athletics, our athletic secretary is Miss Lloydine Rapp, and she supports Mr. Lewis. So these are kind of some big faces that you will be dealing with mostly as families. Just a little information about our school. We are the only high school in the district, if you did not know that. Our campus was the original Emily Gray campus. We are considered a comprehensive high school. So what that means is that we do not specialize in one program. We're not a fine arts school. We are not just a STEM school. We are an everything school. It's truly incredible how many programs and services we have on this type of campus. Our programs per capita rival schools like Tucson High and Saguaro High School. I've got to be honest. It's unreal. A lot of districts are averaging class sizes of 36 to 1 or more. We're looking at 18 to 1. We try to keep classes in the low to mid 20s. We get really nervous once they start hitting 25, 26. and we're willing to have classes offered if they're small. So we have some specialty classes that it just worked out this year. There's only 2 or 5 kids, and that's okay. You know, we don't do that every year, but we know that in order to finish a program, that sometimes there's a little bubble class that travels through that just might be a little bit smaller. When I typed this, we had over 730 students. I'll stick with that number, even though today it's 749. We're up over 200 students since I took the helm in August of 2020. In 2019, kind of a fun fact, about 50 to 60% of Emily Gray students chose to come to Tinker Verde High School. It's over 90% this year. I think that really sings the praises of what the school is doing, as well as what a great place and what a great district it is. We have a 200 student waiting list this year. So for our open enrollment families, we are so thrilled you're here, and we hope that those 200 other kiddos will land somewhere wonderful too. We wish we could take everybody. We have 8 career and technical education programs. That includes marketing, our TV and film studio, photography, marketing, a theater tech workshop, precision manufacturing and welding, agri-science, computer science. It's truly unbelievable how many programs that we have in CTE. We have 13 advanced placement classes. We're so proud of our EP program. Fun fact, this year over 50% of our students have chosen to take an honors AP or dual enrollment class. Our AP teachers this past year raised the pass rate by over 10% compared to previous years. So we're not just about shoving kids into hard classes. We really want students to love it and do so wonderfully well. All of our seniors have the opportunity to take at least one dual enrollment class before they graduate and earn credit. We have 7 fine and performing arts programs, including studio art, band, choir, orchestra, theater, and the sub-programs within those groups, such as like jazz band, percussion, art history, and some other really wonderful programs. We have 15 AIA athletic teams. The only 2 sports that we really don't have is track and wrestling. We have everything else, and we have over 40 student clubs. This year we have 65 teachers, faculty, and staff on campus, very low student discipline. We had 12 total student discipline issues last year, and this is a place where student well-being is valued. If you check out our social media, we've got a lot of construction still going on. We have all new patios and outdoor classrooms going in. Those will be done very soon. We have 2 brand new science labs that are done. So if your student has Mr. Jones or Mr. Fry this year, they'll be in those 2 brand new rooms. The entire campus had new AC, brand new roof, all new paint, all new tech for classrooms. That was something that district-wide was happening. And then we also have our big pride and joy. We have a 20,000 square foot, 2-story student commons that was replicated to look similar to the University of Arizona Honors Student Union. It'll have a coffee shop, smoothie cafe, a huge college and career center. As I told you, if we're going to have the best college and career team in the state, we need to have a room and a space that rivals, so the work that they're doing is able, so that students have plenty of room and access to meet with college reps, with different employers, internships, and have really outstanding presentations. It's a brand new, beautiful library, a lecture hall that will also be used for our Tinker Verde governing board meetings when they have those twice a month. And then upstairs, there are 4 additional classrooms. It's a neat space that when you're upstairs, you'll be able to look down into the center of the student commons. We'll be able to have presentations there. So we're excited for when we can welcome you to check out that building. I have some brags I want to share with you just about the school. Our class of 2022 was offered admission to over 50 colleges, universities, and trade schools. We had about 145 kiddos graduate this past year. They all graduated. 100% of our seniors made it. The class of 2022 was also offered over $9 million in scholarships. We had 3 National Merit finalists. We had a Flynn Scholar. We also had a Keys intern. These are some very prestigious scholarship and opportunities locally. So the Flynn, if you're not familiar, is a 4-year scholarship. It includes everything: room, board, tuition, includes 2 study abroad but the mentorship opportunities are just tremendous that our Flynn Scholars have. So we're thankful. I'll introduce you to our PTSG president this year, Amy Hecote. So Amy Fitch Hecote's family had the first Flynn Scholar in Tinker Verde High School history, Simon Fitch, and they've been very, very generous with sharing their expertise to help groom future Flynn Scholars. We had an 86% pass rate on all of our CTE assessments. So remember, those were the marketing, the TV and film, the precision welding, the agri-science, sports med, those classes. The state average to pass those tests is about 60%, and we were over 86%. And then a fun fact, 100% of our students that took AP Literature and AP Art History teacher passed that exam. That's unheard of. I didn't even see that when I was at a school that was 100% AP focused. I think it's important to share what we value so that you really understand and we're upfront with you about what's really important to Tinker Verde High School. We came up with these values to a pretty comprehensive process. We had a strategic plan last year where we had over 50 people within our community. We had parents, we had alumni, we had business, industry partners, teachers, staff, representatives of other schools, and our teachers, of course, to really talk about the items that are the most important to us. One of our parents is a strategic planner, Angie Donaldson, and her son Philip, who just graduated this past year, was able to take all of the data and create kind of an infographic that you can see here that really looks at what we offer. And this really represents the small school culture of care with big school offerings. Even though we're growing pretty rapidly, we're small, we're just about capped. I don't foresee us ever getting bigger than 750 kids. We never want to raise class sizes. We have no plans to build more buildings. Let us just enjoy the ones we have for a while. So I think this is a really nice, perfect size where we have a critical mass of students so we can support lots of different programs. So what do we value? We really value having supportive relationships. We want students and adults to feel connection, belonging, kindness, and inclusivity. We do not want anyone to feel like they don't belong, they're not valued, they're not heard, they're not seen. And we spend a lot of time not just talking about this, but modeling this in the programs that we have and in our classroom. Academic excellence, we wanted to really make sure that we had fewer barriers to take not just rigorous, but also selective classes. If a student is interested in taking a welding class, but it's also the same time as their art class or band, it makes it hard. We know in life you have to make choices, but we want our students to try as many things as possible during high school and take those safe fail chances where they're trying new things. And it's really hard to do that if we don't create a master schedule that really supports multiple offerings. So by expanding our courses and offering the courses that our students were really after, we were able to offer different classes multiple times a day, which helps. Our community really values clear academic and career pathways. So you'll hear that you'll have the opportunity to work with multiple times a year or even more with your student's counselor to really plan what type of pathway that they want when they graduate, how to create a custom 4-year plan that supports their post-high school goals. And knowing that that can change, those plans are very flexible. We have a class dedicated freshman year for our students to start career exploration, to start solving some civic problems in the community so they can really figure out what they love, what they're good at when they're pursuing other classes. We really want to continue having diverse extracurriculars. So whether your kid is into Dungeons and Dragons or mountain biking or traveling the world or jump roping or anything and everything in between, we have it. If your student sees a club that they would like to offer that we don't, we invite them to find a teacher to be their sponsor and grab some friends and start that club. And really having clear learning expectations every day is incredibly important. In my career, I've never had a student tell me that they don't like a class because it's too hard. What they have told me at any school I've ever been at is that students don't like school when they don't understand what the learning target is. They don't understand what's being expected, that the target changes constantly, and or they don't feel that they are accepted or loved or liked in the class. And so it's really, really important that we're super clear with expectations and we model and show how students are cared for and belong here. So what do we value academically? I want to tell you a little bit about their schedule. So if you're thinking like, hey, we got these 6 classes, what does that mean? Let me explain a little bit. And this is a very reduced version, and we are happy to have a more comprehensive meeting with you to talk more, but your kids are going to take a minimum of 6 classes each year. We do have a 0 hour. We don't have a ton of offerings during 0 hour, just a few. We do get a lot of conversations with families saying, why don't you have more? Why don't you have more? And truthfully, the reason we don't is that we really want to make sure we're still supporting balance. 6 classes is still a lot. And we also want to support sleep. And the more, unfortunately, we've all tried to add more hours to a 24-hour day, and you just can't do it. So we're open to having those conversations, but we also want to make sure we're reflective of the experience of your child. We have those comprehensive offerings I mentioned earlier. Your student is going to spend a lot of time with reading and writing, specifically in their English class, for 4 years. They'll have 3 credits of science, 4 credits of math. They will also take kind of civics and social studies. That's 4 credits, including student success. This one with the arts and CTE, we do require that they graduate with 2 credits of a CTE class and or a fine arts. So it could be 1 year of fine arts, 1 year of CTE, 2 years of fine arts, 2 years of CTE, 2 of both. These CTE classes are just a fantastic way for students to apply their learning and discover careers and interests and just have fun. And so we really recommend doing as much as they can in those areas. We really value busy brains during the day. And so what that means is that we want kids to work really hard during school. We don't want a lot of sitting around time because what we would love is for students to not go home with a ton of homework. It's funny when I tell students that we don't value a lot of homework, what they hear is, we don't do any homework. That's not true. We still have some homework, but homework is supposed to be really for thoughtful reflection, reading, writing, maybe a few practice. We don't want students going home and practicing a skill that they did not demonstrate to their teachers that they have mastered, because then a couple of things happen. They cheat, and I'm not saying that as a character attack. It's just kind of human nature that if someone doesn't know how to do something, they look for how to do it online or they ask a friend, and that's not good practice, and that doesn't seem to be a great use of the student's time or frankly the teacher's time when they come back if the student didn't practice that authentically. It also can cause a lot of stress and anxiety, and we want to make sure students are doing it correctly the first time, and we're not wasting students' time because they could be using those afternoons and evenings to be playing sports, joining fine arts, doing clubs, volunteering, doing things outside of school. So we want students engaging in positive activities as well. I keep mentioning the service learning. Your students during their freshman year will identify a community action project where they identify a need in the community. It could be something as simple as we had a student last year that noticed our new bathroom stalls did not have a hook to hang your backpack or your purse. And so that students had to put their things on the bathroom floor. Did that cure a major disease? Absolutely, no, but that is still a really big deal during the day that maybe you didn't realize how important it was until it wasn't there. And the students did such a great job of identifying there's not hooks anymore. They found 5 different types of hooks. They did some tests to see what would hold a student backpack. They gave us a proposal and said, we found these hooks, will you buy them? And so we bought new hooks as to their specification for those bathrooms. Other students were looking at ways to really promote teenagers from smoking to not smoke or use vape products. That was a great project. We've had students do composting. In fact, we are in contention right now for a pretty enormous grant through MIT to develop a compost program. So there's all kinds of ways that I think our teenagers don't always think they can make a difference unless they do something huge or unless they collect cans for a food drive. And we want them to see that they can still identify problems in the community and solve them, even if they're not able to physically do it all. Just learning and practicing how to be empathetic and helping others is important. And then, of course, being college and career ready. We want every student who leaves here to feel really confident about their skills and what's coming next and how they can be prepared. Okay, so I want to go back to that 4-year plan. I mentioned that because I've already had some families asking about summer school or credit recovery or can we do this or that. I really want to be clear that we want students taking their English and their math and their science with us. There is no need or rush to start taking all of these classes online unless there is a goal of acceleration. So I've met with some families that said, hey, we did geometry in the summer because we want to get to the next math. We always ask that our families talk to us about summer school so that we can help. Unfortunately, there's a lot of schools around the city and nation that are not accredited, and we've had some students that went ahead, didn't talk to us. They did a summer school somewhere else, and it's not accredited, and we can't take that credit. And that is a bummer because we know they worked really hard. So the reason that we want students taking these classes on campus is that we don't want them to have a rushed experience. We want them to authentically learn. We want them to have a really great academic experience. Again, there's that 3.5 credits of social studies, including economics. It could also include another semester of student success. Those of you who have students coming in as sophomores, juniors, and seniors, we won't make them take that student success class. We also require, starting with, our current sophomores and down are required to graduate with 2 years of a world language. Sign language is also included. We do ask, unless a student is really, really passionate about sign language, that's not always the best route to look, depending on where they apply to college. There are unfortunately some colleges out of state that do not accept sign language as a language requirement. There's a couple of reasons why we require language. We think it's pretty evident that students having a base and learning another language is helpful and will make them competitive in the workforce. Also, you cannot get into a college or university, a 4-year college or university in the United States or abroad without at least 2 years of a world language. The more competitive that university is, the more language you need. So we really ask, unless students have a really loaded freshman schedule of things they're super passionate about, that they should start taking that world language as early as freshman year. To give them time. So as they work through high school, they know. I've seen it at other schools I'm at where students wait, they decide to take their language their junior year, and then the summer between junior and senior year, they realize their dream college requires a minimum of 3 years. And it's like where you can't make another year out of a semester. And so those are just some conversations to have. And so when you hear us ask, what are your goals or what are you thinking? We want to make sure that students are as open to every opportunity they possibly can as humanly possible. We also think that it's just a great way to learn about other cultures by learning a language, and because language is so cultural, and learning about different places in the world is a great opportunity because we want our students to feel comfortable traveling and understanding other parts of the world. Again, there's that 2 credits of the CTE or Fine Art Combo, and then 3 additional courses of student choice. We have a lot of students asking to take a lot of fine arts, a lot of CTE, and quite frankly, we're a school where students are taking at a pretty rapid rate 4 or 5 credits of science each year. So science, additional sciences is very popular, and students can certainly double up on science if they're passionate about that. So my disclaimer, students are going to take at least 6 classes all 4 years. So here comes the reduced schedule question. I've already had it. I've had families say, we've worked so hard to do summer school so that my child doesn't have to take any classes their senior year. And we don't want them to take a math, a science, or an English. We just want them to have fun and relax. We want them to have fun and relax too. Senior year can be stressful. However, unfortunately, it is not High School Musical. I have lots of students who tell me this is nothing like High School Musical, and it's not. We do not support or believe in reduced schedules unless there's a financial hardship. This is not the same thing as a teenager just wanting a job or thinking that would be fun to have a job. A student has a verified internship opportunity. We have students that have reduced schedules this year for their internships. There's a medical reason. We have some students that it's just not medically healthy. They're emotionally or physically healthy for them due to some pretty serious prescribed medical conditions. A student is taking additional coursework off-site, such as through Pima County JTED, the U of A, or Pima, or things like that. And this is kind of a quote that I like to say, that we're preparing your kids for life after high school. Simply put, we don't stop training for a marathon the year before the race starts. I do not want your kids to be miserable or stressed out their senior year, but it just does not make good sense for them to not be putting forth some rigor their senior year. Especially when they're applying to colleges, they're going to notice, why didn't this student do anything of rigor their senior year? So again, how do we serve that whole student that we talked about? So one of the things we were really adamant about is keeping that 9 a.m. bell schedule. So we have a 9 a.m. start, which is late for most high schools. Our research says that teenagers 15 through 19 need 9 to 11 hours of sleep a night. So when they are exhausted and sleeping the whole weekend, there's a medical reason why they're not just being lazy teenagers. And so we know that it's really hard to get teenagers in bed early. If you can, that's fantastic and we appreciate it, but we know it's hard. And so pushing the school day back a little bit in the morning helps our kids. Last year, our students self-reported on average, they're getting about 8 hours of sleep. At previous schools I've been at, students reported they were getting 3 to 4 hours of sleep. So we are actually above the survey standard of how much sleep our students are getting, which is good. We do have that amazing student success class for freshmen. We have opportunities for student learning. We have amazing course offerings. The clubs, athletics, and extracurricular activities really support students having fun at school. And then you might have noticed that your student has an advisory period on their schedule. That is our Hawk time, where we go over things that are happening on campus. We do some campus culture things, homecoming things, student announcements. Sometimes we have surveys. Sometimes we'll do cohort meetings where we need to meet with all the freshmen during that time or all the sophomores, etc. And sometimes that time is just used for students to either have a study hall or meet with other teachers so that they can get tutoring, make up tests. Your student will have the same Hawk Time teacher all 4 years. So each Hawk Time has about an equal number of freshmen, sophomore, junior, and seniors. As the seniors graduate, we fill it with new students. So what are some things that you can expect from us on a day-to-day basis? So you're going to expect that we're going to have high expectations. We want your student to do great things, and we need to set the bar high so that we can support them. You can expect that they will be safe on our campus. It's an incredibly safe space. We take a lot of time and care to look at preventing incidents before they occur, not just being reactive, having protocols in place to keep our campus safe, but also making sure the kids are safe, beyond the scary things that we hear about in the news, just making sure that they're safe emotionally, they're safe to take risks, they're safe to raise their hand in a class where they've never asked a question, they're safe to try something new. Those are really important elements to us. You're going to find that teachers care about your kids. There's tons and tons of resources for when you need help. You're going to have access to meet with school counselors regularly. We have specialized programming, courses, internships, test prep, college application prep, tutoring, and job shadowing experiences. Your child will be able to tell you every single day what they learned in every single class, why it was important to them to learn that target, and how they'll know they learned it. And you can ask them. So it's a recommendation I have. Instead of asking how school was today, you can pick a class and ask them those 3 questions and they'll be able to tell you. Again, we want you, if you don't know who to reach out to anybody you need to for a question. But we always say that if there's a problem, you start where the problem is. If there's a concern with something that happened in class or a clarification you need, start with the teacher. If it's on the field or the court, start with the coach or even the counselor. From there, if you can't resolve it or you need some help, we always recommend then you go to Mr. Basalia or Mr. Lewis. And then ultimately, if they can't resolve it, I jump in. We want to make sure that we can really work on those skills. I'm not going to be angry with you if you jump the line, but we really want to try to solve things quickly. And the quickest way to solve any concern, problem, or question is to start at the root. Just a reminder about athletics. This fall, we have football, girls volleyball, boys and girls swim, and boys and girls cross country. Our winter sports are boys and girls soccer and boys and girls basketball. In the spring, we have softball, baseball, boys and girls tennis, and co-ed golf. So if you're interested in a fall sport and you haven't gotten started, you might want to start reaching out to Mr. Lewis and Ms. Rapp and saying, oops, did we miss information? Volleyball's getting started pretty quick here. Football's already started. You can still join in. And swim and cross country will start shortly. Our swim team does compete at 49ers Country Club, and our cross country starts on our campus. Our tennis is at La Mariposa, and our golf is at 49ers Country Club. So I got some great questions from all of you when I asked for what do you really want to know today? So here's some common questions that people ask. I apologize, I can't see the chat right now because I'm in the presentation, but when I pop out, if there's additional questions we need to answer, we'll certainly do it. So first question, does my student need a laptop? Yes. If you do not have one or don't want to provide one from home, make sure you fill out that laptop checkout. They need to be able to have a laptop every day. We do want all of our students to have a graphing calculator. We recommend the TI-84, the TI-84 Plus. We can also help you because our PTSG has an Amazon Smile. And so if you buy it through our Amazon Smile account, then our parent association will get a little kickback too. But I have already seen kind of on some Tinker Verde Valley social media groups that people are asking, hey, does anyone's student no longer need their calculator? Can we buy it? I still have my TI-84 from when I was in high school, and it still works, and it's awesome, and I will never get rid of it because I used it all through grad school, and it's kind of now my trophy. But they're usually lying around, and they're really, really great products. Again, they're about $120. Sometimes you can get them for less. You can find them used. They will use it through college. And the reason that we think they need it is that they will use it for a very long time. If that is not a purchase you'd like to make right now, we do have a lot of calculators that we can check out and we can help out, and that's not a big deal. How do we pay our fees? So we go through My School Bucks, and we have class fees as well as ways to purchase tickets for athletic events. You can buy family passes for events, for concerts. All of our dances will be on My School Bucks, and so we'll send out reminders about how to use your account and how to help you with that. If you're having problems, we have some point people who can help you look up those fees. I've been asked a lot about lockers. We do not have lockers. We are not getting lockers. We do not plan to bring back lockers. Most of our classes are using Chromebooks. They're using digital books. You don't need to bring your textbook to school every day. You can leave it at home. Or there's a virtual option. Students can keep their lunches in their backpack if they have big bags for athletics or after school activities. What we have found is that students can ask teachers if they can leave them in their rooms, and that is totally fine. We do have PE lockers that students can use for PE, but even before, when we had lockers, they weren't going to be big enough for guitars and things like that. So if I had a question about guitars, if your student is in band or orchestra, they can keep their instrument in the band or orchestra room as well. What time can my students be on campus and how late can they stay? So I would say anytime like after 7:30, 7:45-ish. We have staff on here to keep an eye on them. They need to while they're on campus, we can see them. Our 0 hour does start at 7:55. I would say the majority of our students start trickling in between between 8:20 and 8:40 for the rest of the day. But we understand that with our late start, you still only need to drop off your student a little earlier. Buses are arriving around 8:30 to 8:45. And that's usually when kind of the crowds are coming in. Also, that's good information for you to use if you don't want to get bogged down by the parent drop off or pickup. You might want to consider dropping your student off a little early, and then at the end of the day, picking them up a little late. We will not throw your child on the street if you're not here by 3:15 in the evening. So if you want to wait till the crowd dies down and give your student a little bit of time to maybe meet with teachers or visit, we're here. We would ask that if your student is not in an after school sport or activity, that you pick them up no later than 4 o'clock. But sometimes picking them up not right when school gets out, it's going to save you some time and headache as well. How do we sign up for athletics? So you will visit our athletic website. There's information about how to sign up. The big things, it's really important to do the paperwork with a concussion protocol. We do a baseline concussion protocol just in case your child were happen to get hit in the head or something happened, that we'd be able to take care of them. We have a full-time trainer on campus. We also partner with Banner so that we have physicians that we work with our athletics. So your students, in addition to their coaches, have really great medical care and supervision. And that information is on that website. If students want to start a club, they just need to grab a few friends. We say about 5 to 7. find a teacher that's willing to sponsor them. Most of our clubs really just require a teacher in the room. The students are self-driven. They just want a space where they can play games or talk about what's important to them, and the teacher is usually just in the room in case they need them. If they want to start something a lot more comprehensive that requires travel or competitions or things like that, there's some more paperwork that teacher may have to do. But once they have a teacher that signs on, that teacher will come up to us in the office and get the paperwork going. Who do I call if my student has a 504? So if we did not receive 504 information with registration, and you're worried about that, or you're just concerned that we don't know, please call your child's counselor. You can also contact me or Mr. Basalia or Mr. Lewis, and we'll make sure that the appropriate people are roped in so that we can have the meeting and that your child's accommodations are ready right away. So all of the teachers will receive the 504 plans for students they have in their classes before the first day of school, so they have time to review them and know what's happening so that your child's accommodations are ready to rock right on August 4th. What is the dress code? So I am so sorry, because I think people probably told my parents, I'm sorry too, that the type of clothing that is advertised for teenagers is rough sometimes. So we have a very simple dress code where we really just say that students' chest and stomach need to be covered, their rear end needs to be covered, whether it's pants or a dress or skirt. We don't do baggy pants. We don't do crop tops. Tank tops are allowed. Shoulders can be bare. We just ask that chest, tummy, and kind of your rear are covered loosely. I will send out the dress code again so that you can review it. The big thing is also making sure that students aren't wearing clothing that either depicts negative connotations, whether it's profanity, drugs, alcohol, or implied negativity, drugs, alcohol. We've had students that wear clothing and they think they're being very sneaky, and that all of us don't know what their shirt stands for. And it's like, we are old, but we know how to use Urban Dictionary, and so we know what those things mean. So we want to make sure that students are in compliance. I also want to make sure students are in class, and so I have to tell you that I want to make sure that students are dressed appropriately, but I'm not a big fan of pulling kids out of instructional time to nitpick their attire. We'll deal with it, especially if it's really, really, really bad. But in general, we want to give kids the benefit of the doubt, respect them to make better choices next time, and let them have access to a free and appropriate education. What do I do if my student is late or needs to leave early? So our office is now located on the north end of campus near the solar panels. It is not off of kind of the main and gated entrance off Melpomene. So students and parents, if they're late or need to leave early, need to pick them up near the solar panels. Our main office is located the closest to the 2-story big building, and they will check in and check out with Miss Farimo. Before school and after school, our gates will be open at the north and on the east, but once school starts, everything will be locked down. We'll have one single door in and out, and that is by our attendants. It's really important. Something else kind of along these lines that someone asked, what do I do if I want to drop off food or presents for my students? So that's okay. That's really fun. And we're going to talk a little bit more about why that's so important for you to continue to do fun things with your kids. But if it's their birthday or they forgot lunch or you want to give them something special, that's totally fine. You're going to drop it off with Miss Farimo. She'll send a message for them to come pick it up. If you have balloons or huge things of flowers, that makes it really hard for class. So what we'll do is send a message to the students so they can come see it. But we're going to ask that they keep their balloons and big flowers or 10-foot teddy bears in the office, just so that they have room in class to function. We do not allow students or you on behalf of the student to order Grubhub or DoorDash. We don't want to invite strangers on our campus. We don't want students sneaking into the parking lot to meet strangers at their car to get food. If they forgot food and you are unable to bring them something, we will get them a free meal in the cafeteria. We also have snacks, but please do not send McDonald's or anything or having a stranger delivery show up on our campus. 9 times out of 10, I'm sure it would be fine, but we don't want to invite that 1 time out of 10 where something creepy happens or your student's safety is at risk. Again, that's the main office, and attendance is where you go if your student forgets something, their band instrument, their math book, their homework, whatever. That we know that stuff happens. So someone asked, like, well, other schools let kids leave early and just leave and leave for lunch. We don't do that. Again, we really value in preparing your student for college and career, and they need to be here and they need to be going through our program and our system. We don't let students check themselves out when they're 18 and just decide, I don't want to go to school today, I'm going to lunch. That also isn't going to happen. If you need your student to leave and they drive, we're going to need for you to call us and let us know that you're giving permission. We know that 18-year-olds are legally still adults, but we're still going to communicate with you. I don't think that I am not a parent, but if I was a parent, I would want to know if my 18-year-old who lived under my roof was coming and going or making good or bad choices. So we were going to include you with that. Let's see. Again, we talked a little bit already about why we take a language. Summer school is done virtually. We do have a virtual program called Apex that students can sign up for. We'll start talking about that probably in February, March. What do dances look like? So all students 9 through 12 are invited to homecoming and winter formal. They can also bring guests from other schools with an approved guest pass. We do not let middle schoolers come to our dances. We also do not let students over the age of 19 come to our dances. We really want to keep it high school and high school aged-ish. Prom is only for juniors and seniors, but they can invite underclassmen as their guests. There's that dress code one again. And then, can my students use a backpack? Yes, absolutely. We do not have requirements on backpacks. They don't have to be clear. They can have wheels, whatever a student wants. Okay, so this is, I think, what a lot of people have been asking me lately of how do I parent a high school student? And when I was thinking about kind of the best exemplars and suggestions and tips that I can give you, I was looking through the internet, and here are the 3 most popular images when you Google, parenting when it comes to schools. So they show the stereotypical hovering helicopter parents. They show the tiger mom, and then they show the Amy Poehler that you can drink in my house because I'm a cool mom. And I would not recommend any of these. And I think that you have the coolest and hardest job is parenting a teen, and that delicate balance of how do I support my high school student while still giving them structure, while still having high expectations, but also starting to let up a little bit so they can have freedom. And I can't tell you exactly how you are going to have to do that. That is something that you're going to have to dabble with and have communication with your student. But I invite you to really start having those conversations with your student about how you're going to work and function and really go through these next few years, because it's common that people say, oh, you're not needed in high school anymore. Now that your child is in high school, parents can just go away. And that is just simply not true. Sadly, socially, emotionally, academically, these are perhaps the most cutthroat years of your kids' lives. And they're going to be exposed to things, even in the beautiful, safe little Tinkerberry Valley, that are quite scary. And any time you can have a relationship, continue your relationship or develop a new relationship where your students can be vulnerable and come to you with scary things without the fear of repercussions or the worst thing ever is the I'm just really disappointed in you speech, I think is really advantageous, because unfortunately we can't protect them from everything, and being able to talk to you is really, really important. This was another one that I saw that people pull that, of like, oh, parents are crazy and they're yelling and they're mean. And this isn't real either. And this isn't what we assume or expect from our families either. And so I'm sorry, you guys parents are getting a bad rap and the images about schools. This is really what I wanted you to focus on. So I apologize for the sweet little picture, but I would like for you to think about your kid, and depending on what year your student is at UHS this year, Tinker Purdy was our old habits die hard at Tinker Purdy High School. You have 3 summers or fewer left before your baby becomes an adult. I know doesn't mean that they won't need you, but you have 3 summers left. where they will be school aged in your house. And I know most of you probably have a picture of your baby when they looked like this. So excited for the first day of kindergarten, picking out their first pencil box and backpack. And even though your baby is bigger and has to wear deodorant and has meltdowns and wants to sleep 15 hours a day and maybe rolls their eyes at you, they are still your baby. So these are some of our suggestions for your three to enjoy these years at Tanque Verde High School and your 3 summers that are left. So from Dr. Sislak, I recommend that you go to the games and performances on campus, even if your students won't let you sit with them. Go to the football games, go to the basketball games. There are lots of parents there. That is where you will build friendships. And as parents, it's important that you have friendships while your child is in high school and that you're developing those connections on campus, even if they're separate from your kid. Go to open house every single year. I hear from families, oh, we went our freshman year, we're done. We know how high school works. I have been a principal for now, this is my 11th year. I still don't know exactly how high school works. It changes every single year. Things are always a little bit different. But at open house is where you meet your students' teachers, where you build that relationship, where you understand what's happening so that you have that connection. Go to parent-teacher conferences. Ask those questions there. And then I'm going to give a plug. When I'm done with this, just because I only have one screen, I'm going to ask Amy to jump in and talk a little bit more about our PTG, but please come to the parent meetings. This doesn't mean that you have to be the Pinterest elementary school PTG mom where you're on campus all the time and volunteering in your kids' classroom and decorating their desks and tie-dyeing shirts with them. You don't have to do it at that level. If you want to, though, we have things you can do, and we would love that too. But we still need you to be engaged and involved. Despite what your students tell you, take all the pictures of them that you want. You have 3 summers left. Take a picture of them on the first day of school. We know that first day of school outfit is important no matter what students tell us. We know it's important. Take time to tell your student you're proud of them. Take time to get to know your students' friends. Have them over. Be the house where they all want to hang out. That's where you find out everything. Take time to meet their parents too. Ask your student what they learned every day. Just a kind of a segue tip too. Don't have the first thing you ask be about whether or not they aced the test, or always be about achievement driven. We don't know, nobody ever intends for that to be a question that embarrasses or hurts kids, but we always know that there's some anxiety attached to it. And so we always say, just talk about, what they learned, what was great. That the test will come out, it'll get posted online. Ask them what's going well and what's not. And then ask for us to help you. I have parents all the time email me saying, I need help with this. How do I navigate this? What do I talk to my kid about? Teach your student to advocate for themselves. If they're nervous about writing the email or asking the question, sit down with them and write the email with them so that they have ownership. We still encourage you to ask for help, but this is a great skill for them to start learning emails etiquette and how to ask for help. Collaborate with us. This is a big one. I think that in the last 2 years, there's been a lot of trauma and a lot of hurt. And with the pandemic and everything that's been going on, it's been really ugly. And lots of people, regardless of what their views are in pain. And there's been a lot of stuff. And what I've noticed in emails that, and I don't know about you guys in your jobs, but in my job, man, I get a lot of emails these days where parents assume that we are going to do the worst thing possible first before giving us an opportunity to fix it. So I invite you, when you email teachers, when you email us, assume that we are going to be helpful and on your side and want the best possible thing for your child when you email us, because I guarantee we do. And I invite you, if we mess it up, you can tee off on me and I will take it. But that first contact, assume we're going to be helpful. Even this summer, I've been, getting emails about kids' schedules. And the first time we heard that a parent didn't like their kid's schedule was in an email telling us that, I can't believe you did this and you must hate my kid and you're terrible and you're the worst. And we fixed their schedule. They're like, okay, great, thanks. It's like, we could have done that first. And we want to have a great relationship. And that's scary. And I'm sorry if anyone's coming from a place where they assume or schools have hurt them and haven't been collaborative, but that's not us. We want to get it right the first time with you. again, ask your teachers, your student's teacher for clarification before assuming the worst. You know what, we might have made a mistake and something bad might have happened, but just keep assuming and collaborating with us that we want to do right. Because I think you're going to find that's it's always true, and almost always do we do it the right way. Again, keeping that teacher students to advocate and how to fail. We have a lot of students that are scared of failing, and rightfully so. It's not fun for things to not work out, but let us help you and give them that opportunity for things to not work out. We're not going to let them be miserable and sad, and we're going to help them recover from that. Some upcoming events, and then I'm going to jump out of this and get to some questions. Remember, the first day of school is August 4th. We do have Parent Open House on August 11th. Please be there for that. You get to visit every single one of your students, teachers, and their classes. And it's a really, really thoughtful and great evening. We do have yearbook photos and photo IDs. We decided to save you guys a trip and standing in line in the humid heat this summer. So we're going to do photos and ID pictures that first Monday. And then we'll have makeup photos on Friday. So your students will go through their classes. So you don't have to worry about dropping them off at a certain place. Their classes will walk them down to take all of those pictures. Okay, so I'm going to jump out of that and come back to you all. And I just gave you a ton, and hopefully this is the last time that I ever talk at you. But I know that there was a lot of information. So I would say that our average graduating class just kind of starting at the top, has been between like 130 to 150. Our freshman class this year is at 224. And our sophomores are at 190, and then it kind of drops off. Amy, do you want to jump in and chat and introduce yourself and talk about some of the awesome stuff that you guys are doing with the PTG this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. My name is Amy Fitch-Heacock, and as Dr. Sislak mentioned, I have
we can't hear you.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay. My name is Amy Fitch-Heacock, and I am the Tanque Verde High School PTSG president this year. I actually just took over the job last week, so I'm hitting the ground running with a lot of new ideas. As Dr. Sislak mentioned, my son graduated in 2020. I also have a daughter who's a sophomore this year, and then I have an incoming freshman as well. My youngest daughter entering high school means that I will have had 4 kids now through the high school experience. So please, if you have questions, if this is maybe your first child who's going through high school, you can always reach out to me. I am a pretty good resource for all things high school, and certainly for all things Tanque Verde High School as well. This year with PTSG, we're going to try to do things a little differently in terms of parent engagement. I think that in years past, a lot of PTSG has been involved with fundraising and things of that nature. And although we're going to continue that, we also want to have a little bit more parent engagement. So be looking for better opportunities to get involved and ways to have more dynamic conversations with other parents and obviously with teachers and administration as well. And really, we want to focus on renewing the Tanque Verde High School community and allowing everybody to feel included and to feel like you matter in your child's education. And I really thank Dr. Sislak so much for continuing to reinforce that just because your student is in high school doesn't mean that this is when you can be hands off. I shared with her the other day that with my oldest daughter, who's now 23, I did sort of take that approach where when she got to high school, I stepped back and thought, I don't want to be hovering. I don't want to be as present. I want her to learn how to advocate for herself. And what I learned is that she had to come to me and say, you know what, Mom, I'm not really ready for that. And so we've adapted that. And now we continue to show our kids how to advocate for themselves by, as Dr. Sislak mentioned in the slideshow, by doing things with them, not for them anymore. And then certainly by the time they're a senior, they're going to be doing things on their own. But it's still important for you to stay engaged with what's happening at the high school. I'm going to go ahead and drop the website for PTSG in the chat so that you can go and send an email. You can sign up. You can see what our events are. It will be further updated by the end of this week. again, our entire executive board is new to our positions. So be patient with us as we get through this week, but know that you're going to be seeing a lot of ways for you to get involved in the coming days. And then if you have any questions, again, my email, I'll also drop that in the chat so you can reach out. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Okay. So there's a question about my school box. I will send a contact of who to get help from for my school box, because we know it can be tricky and glitchy sometimes. Is there anything else? You guys didn't ask a ton of questions. I thought I'd jump into 1,000 of them. If students miss orientation, that's totally okay. Our campus will be open for them to walk around next week. They can totally walk around, and they might even be able to catch some teachers because teachers start coming back next week. So feel free to walk around campus and see what's happening. Really, it's a big time for students to just build some connection. If your student is missing next orientation on Friday and they don't have a social group they're already jumping into, you can also let us know, and then we can have a student leader meet them or help them with a tour on campus too, because I know some students might just want to have a point of contact, and we have some amazing student leaders that are returning sophomores, juniors, and seniors that are helping, and they would love and be happy to meet your student sometime next week to help what's going on. So advising period on Tuesdays, your student does not have a third period. And so we just use that number so that students will go to advisory right after second period on Tuesdays. On Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, your students will go to periods 1 through 7. Lunch is period 4. And then on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, they will have half their classes. And so those days we have 90-minute classes instead of 50. So they're a little bit longer for kind of deeper dives for labs or other projects. So they will go to advisory after second period. And again, advisory has lots of different topics where they might go over the first couple of weeks. We're going to do a lot of back to school stuff, talk about campus culture, a student code of conduct, and kind of some of those things that we just have to cover. But we also spend time doing a lot of school spirit, building capacity on campus, and then we also allow that time for students to get help or make up work or do things with their teachers. So no student IDs will be this week. All IDs are going to be during the school day. On the Monday, the 8th. So they'll go, I think we're going to have them go through their English class. So all the students English classes will go down and get their pictures taken, and then we'll have makeups on the 11th. Trying to save you guys as many trips as we can. Okay. I'm done with my formal part. If you have other questions and you want to stick around, I invite you to do so. If you want to log off, you also can. I will post this recording on our socials and the constant contact in our website so you can access it later. And I'll also just link the presentation if you don't want to hear me talking and you just want to read it. That'll work. So we will submit cafeteria prices. Our cafeteria staff just came back today, so I apologize I didn't grab those. I'll throw those in the constant contact as well. The menu is published for the week. And then the applications as well for any students that do need, if they're going to pay, they would go through their My School Bucks. And then I also had a couple questions about free and reduced lunch. Those applications are live right now. Teachers are going to let students know what they need for supplies, so you don't need to worry about going ahead of time. No lockers this year. Yep, and orientation is this Friday from 9 to noon. So you can definitely still register. If you haven't registered or you don't get around to it by Friday, we will still take your student, have them show up. And so they'll have a tour. They're going to meet, kind of hear about a bunch of programs and things we're doing. We'll give them a new Tinker Verde High School t-shirt. It's going to be a great morning. PE is optional. So students who want to take PE, that is an elective credit, and they can take that either PE or weight training. And we also have an adventure class where students can mountain bike and rock climb and do stuff like that too. Yeah, that 3 summers thing, that's a doozy. I had a parent, that's probably why I said university. I had a parent at that school that told me that she thinks of things in summers, and that really hit me, because when you think about only 3 more left, that's a lot. If you don't ask for PE, you don't take PE. We are still doing schedule changes. So our counselors just joined us on Monday. We love them. They're amazing. So Mr. Basali and I were grinding through changes last week, and I know our counselors are still working on them this week. So at this point, you can email your counselor if you have further clarification or questions about schedules. Correct. No lockers, except for PE. PE has lockers, and then we have lockers for athletics. Yeah, so if early dismissal, you can email ahead of time or send a note ahead of time with your child that you're going to come get them, and they'll give them a pass. Or if you don't do that, or something comes up, you can call the school on your way, or when you get there, we'll go get your kiddo and bring them up to the office for you to check out. I believe that Ms. Rapp is just starting the parking application approvals. But you can email her for clarification if you haven't heard yet. For late start days, they can, I would say they can arrive about an hour before school. If you're in a pinch, email us and we can work something out. Usually we can put them up somewhere and just have them do work where they're safe. Thank you guys for coming. All right, well, I'm gonna sign off. If you think of something else, please email me, and I'm excited to meet you all. This is an amazing, amazing school, and I'm excited for you to partner with us. It's gonna be fantastic. Take care.